Cool. So I'll start the show, and you guys just follow along. That's how it works. It's the opposite of band practice, where Gary starts the song and then we follow along. This is I'm in
Yeah.
charge now.
Yay.
Yeah,
Either way, I get to screw up, right?
exactly.
Exactly.
Hello and welcome to episode 9, the ninth thing. In fact, we're calling this episode 9 Big Things because I have two special guests joining me in today's show. They are my cohorts in music, the two gentlemen that I spend time playing music with whenever possible, and it hasn't been very possible here lately. But joining me today is the lead singer, lead guitar player, the heart and soul of my band, BiG, Gary Hawthorne. Welcome, Gary. How are you today?
I'm doing smashingly well after getting off the road for 12 hours,
Yeah, you've
14
you've
hours.
had quite a long day, and due to some
About
scheduling,
14.
14 hours on the road selling solar stuff, right?
Yeah.
How all over Virginia, or did you leave the state of Virginia today?
No, just Virginia. I'm basically in Virginia 99% of the time.
And
That's
during
the only state I know.
and people are buying solar like there's no tomorrow. Is that right?
Sadly, they do believe there's no tomorrow, and they are buying some. No, it is the pandemic has definitely heightened people's attention to the things that matter most, which is preparing and taking care of your family, and that's a big thing with solar power. Is you're prepared and you can take care of your family with a little bit of extra energy.
Are the people you're going to see also starting gardens that didn't have gardens before because they want to be even more prepared with food and all that stuff?
Oh, some of them, yeah, definitely. They're getting they're getting prepped in many ways. Of course, you get the random the actual prepper who has the big storage storage things and all that, but mostly just regular old people that they're thinking more about deep thoughts,
Yeah, and
and things. What's going to happen with my family? How can I take care of my family? And that's a big thing.
makes sense. Well, cool. Thank you for giving us time here this evening after 14 hours on the road. It would have been cool to do this yesterday, but I like triple booked myself, and so I couldn't do it yesterday. We could have done it in place of our band practice, which would have been great. You wouldn't have been on the road, but I think we're gonna get the road worn. Road Warrior Gary here tonight, and while we record three things. So I'm excited for what you've got for us. Also joining us, the bass player for BiG, Bryan McKenzie. How are you today, Bryan?
I'm doing. I can't stand these things. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. I'm on furlough, so I spent the day mowing the lawn, and I have a large enough lawn and an old push mower, and a new weed whacker. So I got to do manly things, sweat, stuff like that. It makes me
And
feel good.
It is fun to whack your weed.
It is, and this is a battery operated weed whacker, and I have two batteries just in case.
Hey now, that way you can go the distance.
That way, you can take as long as you need.
now
Get
you
that
just now
weed.
you just need to charge them with solar power.
That's it. That's it. I need a solar power charger for my weed whacker whacking thing.
I think it's funny that you both started this recording wearing your mask, even though you are, I presume, solo right now, not surrounded by other people. And which
Well,
mean there was no reason to even be wearing a mask, and you've quickly grown tired of the mask and have taken it off, which is the way it should be when you're at home
I,
solo recording a podcast late at night.
I do have my
Well,
bass with
I
me.
like wearing my mask because as you saw earlier in thing. I look pretty ominous and menacing, and I kind of like that. It's a good look for me,
it's a
as
great
opposed to
thing
bald, fat, and stupid.
we can actually wear masks now in public, and nobody thinks anything about it. It's kind of cool. It's just like, used to be you put a mask on, you walked into the 7-Eleven, people started getting a little nervous.
Yeah, people left
Now
the
they just
store.
think you're thinking
Now,
that,
if you
they
don't wear
think,
the
hey,
mask,
he's
they get a
doing
little
me a
nervous.
favor.
Yeah, yeah, it's a whole new world. You guys ready to get into three things?
Three,
Actually, I could use a
four,
refill on my drink.
You gonna
Give
go
me
get a refill?
three
one
things, four
second.
things, whatever
You do
things you
that. I'll explain how three things works for everybody and how it's going to work in today's show. We are still going to follow the general format of three things. So thing one, we are all going to present some sort of deep thought. I don't know what we have in store. I know what I'm going to talk about. I do not know what Brian or Gary is going to talk about, and I'm not
Neither
sure.
Gary.
I'm not sure if they know what they're going to talk about, but
No clue.
we're going to do it. Thing number two, we're all going to share something, some thought we have about music in some way, shape, or form. And being in that we all play in a band together, I would think that we can come up with some sort of musical thing to talk about. And then number three, something silly or absurd in some way, shape, or form. And again, I know you guys, I'm quite confident we can get silly and get absurd without trying too hard. So
We've already been there.
we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go first since it's my show and I'm in charge. And so here's my first thing, and it's going to be a fairly short first thing. Sometimes my first thing is a longer, drawn out thing, but I didn't want to take all of the spotlight. I'm sure you guys have deep thoughts. And this one is a little bit of a rant for me because I see this on Facebook a lot lately. And it's annoying. It's that Facebook post where someone starts off by saying, "I have been nominated to share my top 10 albums," and yada yada yada. They go into it, and every time I see that, I think to myself, just because you were nominated does not mean you have some sort of obligation to bore the living shit out of everybody with your top 10 albums without any kind of explanation about what they mean to you, which is actually the part that might interest me. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of album covers. And I mean, I kind of get it. You're into music and you want to tell us about your albums, but that's it. That's where it ends. And so I just want to let everybody know, just because you were nominated, you do not have to do it. I have been nominated multiple times, and I have yet to actually do it on Facebook. So there you go. Just a little bit of a rant, not super deep, but that's where we're starting. That was thing one for me. Who wants to go next with their thing? Gary's raising his hand and looking ominous. His drink is full, and he's got deep thoughts. Gary, what's your first thing?
This can't be good.
Well, first, I would like to comment on yours.
Yes.
On your deep thoughts. I didn't know if this was going to be a bit of in the round where we could make comments or not, but I know that rant. I know that Facebook post, and sadly, no one has nominated me. I don't know why. I guess they're afraid. But they did nominate my old drummer Dwight, for the 10 albums. I think he's up to 17 right now. He posts one every day.
It's Drummer Man.
And he puts a 2,000 to 3,000 word essay with each one. I mean, this is like pages and pages on Facebook. He dissects it perfectly. I mean, the guy's pretty amazing, and he has one of the most extensive music collections of anybody I know, and it's just hilarious because whenever he does something, he obviously takes it to heart, and it's been amazing looking at his, seeing his album selections throughout the time, where most people do, they just post the album cover, and it's like no comments. It's like, well, then why did we do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm way more interested in your actual thoughts on the album. So the fact that he's sharing his thoughts, I'm all for that. That's what I wish was happening. Brian, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, yeah, what's up with the idea? I just throw an album cover out there, and I don't tell you why this thing. I mean, I should explain why the Carpenters' greatest hits means so much to me.
Exactly. People need to know this stuff.
Actually, I think
Otherwise,
that's pretty self-explanatory, Brian.
we've only just begun.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
But deep thoughts.
Go for it,
Deep
Gary.
thoughts.
I've been having an internal battle on which deep thought, and of course, the deep thought has to be with the COVID crisis. And my deep thought is that and it's a hope. It's a hope more than anything. And I allude to this in a couple of the songs that we have also. But I hope that when we come out of this, or we're never going to come out of it. It's not going to go back to the way it was. We hope. I hope that people come out of it more aligned with, like, thinking about other people and doing kind things and treating people like humans, and not just going after grubbing for money every day. It's just like, people have to do it for various reasons. We have to eat, we have to have shelter, the folks on the bottom all know about grubbing for money, but there are others out there seems like that's their sole purpose in life, is to get money, to do whatever. And I'm hoping that this whole thing can help us be better humans and treat each other a little more respectfully, but also with a little more kindness and more humanity. That's my deep thought.
That's pretty touching. Brian, any thoughts on Gary's deep thought?
Well, I like Gary's deep thoughts, but being the bass player, I'm sort of a pessimist, whereas obviously the songwriter is the optimist in our group. That would frighten anybody that knows Gary. But
Hey, I work on commission. I'm an optimist.
Yeah. I've kind of looked at the same thing, and some of the things I've noticed, and I have a job where I have to sort of, I'm an essential employee, except for when I get furloughed, um, which is kind of odd. But it's interesting that we have managed to, in this country, totally politicize a something that's killing people, something you can't see, something that you could have it and you don't know. And just the fact that we've been able to drive this wedge even deeper in our society kind of makes me think that maybe we're on our way to nowhere or something. On the other hand, I have discovered that it brings people who have, I guess, communities of interest, your tribe or whoever. It does bring certain people closer together. My friends, some of my coworkers, we're a lot closer than we've been because we're dealing with kind of the same issues. We're dealing with the same stressors. And so maybe Gary's not wrong. I some things I see coming together, and I see this horrendous divide where facts don't matter. What matters is, what the flag says. Whichever flag you're waving, whether it's stay at home and wear a mask or march on the Capitol with a pistol, well, all right, an AR-15. And that's fine, man, but keep your AR-15s at home. Just take your pistols. That's okay. That's all you need. On the other hand, I did walk into a convenience store accidentally carrying a pistol on my hip and a mask on. Scared the daylights out of the guy for about 10 seconds before he realized we were in the middle of COVID-19. So, you got to do some things for fun, right?
Yeah, we got to do something for actual real live entertainment these days. So.
Exactly.
That's why we're doing this podcast, right?
That's, I told you. I'm just here for beer. He's like, whatever you want.
All right, so Gary's the optimist. Brian is the pessimist.
I'm the realist.
I am also the ever the optimist, and I have a feeling we're going to
In
be
this,
back to normal sooner than later. And but normal won't be the same. I mean, back to whatever the new normal is going to be, which I think will just be a slightly modified version of what we've come to know and love as normal. But I do think the world will be a little bit better because it's kind of like a reset in so many ways. So many, even me, where I'm lucky enough to still have a job. I'm busy. I've got things to do in the evening. I'm not just sitting at home watching TV, but still, I feel like so many things that I normally would do, I can't do. And so, in a lot of ways, it sort of reset things for me. And I think as we slowly begin to start doing the things we love that we can't do right now, it'll be different, but it'll be. I think our priorities will probably be in a better place.
Yeah, I'm hoping we appreciate stuff more.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
sure. What do you miss?
I
The
think
most?
that's it, the whole thing.
What do you miss the most of the normal life in February compared to now?
I'd say, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that are right up in there that we can't do that everybody misses. But I think anybody that performs for other people in any way, shape, or form, whether it's music or poetry or comedy or anything like that, I think people do that because they need to do that. It's something they can't stop. Their brain doesn't turn off, and so excuse me, not being able to go out and do comedy, not that I'm an amazing comedian, in fact, quite the opposite, and not having time to go out and practice comedy and do comedy in front of a crowd. I mean, I was really enjoying doing that multiple times a week, every week, and I seriously miss that. That's probably the biggest thing that I can't do right now that I miss the most.
Yeah, definitely performing. That's and I'm hoping that we will be able to figure out a way to do some sort of semi-remote performance art at some point. That's my hope.
I'm not opposed to doing something. I can't say I love the idea of doing like a live stream concert from your basement or anything. I'm all for live streaming some stuff out there, but I don't know. I haven't found myself watching a lot of live stream stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm more looking forward to actually performing in a room with an audience.
Yes, definitely with an audience.
Yeah.
We almost have to do that,
That's when we'll know we're back, is when we can perform live in a room with a bunch of people.
or at least outside with a bunch of people.
That second best.
That'll be the first step. That'll be phase one.
Yeah, that'd be fine with me.
We're thinking about trying to take over a drive-in
Oh,
and,
nice.
Hey,
and trying to do something like that where people park their cars and listen to it on their car stereo.
That'd be cool. Brian, was that your deep thought too, or did you have something else in mind?
well, in a way that I think that's the thing that I've been thinking about the most. But I think the other thing that I don't know if it's deep, but it strikes me that as I put my mask on and go down to the Kroger to stock up on toilet paper, I think I've got about 4 or 5 years worth if you need to buy any. Um, that all of the people who are essential employees, all of the heroes out there, are making about $8 an hour. And the second vice president in charge of brand enhancement, who makes 130, 200,000 a year, is sitting at home doing a few emails and zooming, and that's it. It's interesting who we find out actually is essential. When push comes to shove, it's the people stocking the shelves that we actually need, and we pay them the least and give them the smallest benefits. It's kind of interesting take on society.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reset I'm talking about is where we realize as a people what's important, and I think it's happening. I think there's evidence that some companies are even kind of realizing it, uh, and of course, all of us are having to realize it and see it every day. Those of us going out and experiencing the world as it is right now, and not just staying at home all day every day, are seeing it happen in front of our faces.
Yeah, I concur. It's that is that was part of my deep thought too. It's like we got to recognize the people that work for a living.
I feel like shit now. My deep thought was just kind of, pithy compared to what you guys brought to the table. Man, this is awesome.
Oh man, your deep thought started,
Well,
made
you
our
said
thoughts
deep
deep.
thoughts, man. You know, it's like,
Yeah, and we dug the hole. You started digging, and we just go right in behind you.
Yeah, man, I love it. The commitment is awesome. You guys ready
It
to?
is.
You know what? We need to finish thing one with a Gary guitar solo. So, Gary, what song is this? What song does this guitar solo come from?
this is the outro to Fall.
Fall, one of the songs on the album Small by BiG.
Is now or is it never? A frame holds 1,000 chains for the ride.
Thank you for the guitar solo, Gary. It's time for thing number two. Thing number two is something directly related to music, usually, although it could be really anything from pop culture, but typically it's music. I just don't want to have the rules be so tight that it's always about music. Do you guys want me to go first again, or is somebody chomping at the bit to share their musical thing?
I don't know. It seemed to riff pretty well last time. Let's go for it again.
All right, here's my second thing. Here's my top 10 albums. Just the name of the album. No explanation as to why they are my top 10. No context. Nothing. I apologize ahead of time. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Metallica, The Black Album. The Asylum Street Spankers, Live. The Squirrel Nut Zippers, Hot. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Michael Jackson, Thriller. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Bob Seger, Live Bullet. Prince, Purple Rain. Tom Jones's Greatest Hits. And last but not least, Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever. Those are my top 10 albums. I'm not explaining it any further. There you go.
We need to rebut that.
I think so.
Feel free. You want to argue with my top 10 albums? Go for it.
No, we're not going to argue. We're just going to name ours. I think that we need to do that. I mean, it's just, I wish we'd have had a preface to this, but because it's always difficult for me to do 10.
Yeah, well,
like my buddy Dwight.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. 10 is limiting, but I see what you did there. You got a good cross section, of your musical.
It was tough to limit it to 10, really.
Well,
especially
you are my drummer.
Did you notice how I sped up as I read through the list?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, so Gary went first or second last time. Brian, I think, goes unless Gary's who's ready? Who's ready to start their top 10 albums or whatever else you want to do, talk about music.
I'll go.
Go for it, Gary.
Number one, Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Prince, God, that's a toughie. Probably Purple Rain. The Cure, what's that?
1999 is good.
I know it's a toss. That's why I was saying it's a toss up between 1999 and because I haven't really thought about this. So that's two. So we have the Monkees, more of the Monkees. We have the Cult, Electric. Santana. Bare Naked Ladies, Live in Montreal. That for some odd reason was my favorite album for like almost 10 years.
Nice.
I think just because of the musicality of it. Oh shoot, I had a really good one just a second ago. but it's
Carpenter's Greatest Hits.
what's that?
Carpenter's Greatest Hits.
No, that's yours.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Let's see. Stephen Stills, Manassas. And let's see. Oh yeah, Thelonious Monk, Orchestral Maneuvers. Rick Lee Jones. And I can't remember what the dang album name was. It was the one in the 70s with Chuck. Oh, Chucky's in Love. Yeah. And it's Supertramp.
Nice.
Breakfast in America.
Breakfast in America. Yeah. How many is that? Is anyone counting?
I am not counting.
That's 14.
I probably should have, but it seems like we're right around 10.
Yeah, you got 3 more to meet your drummer.
No, he's still going, man. He's still going.
Yeah.
I can't. There's no way that I can. Yeah, that's. We're good.
Cool. That's a good 10. I like it. Brian, you got 10?
You know, I'm afraid I'm more like the drummer that Gary mentioned. I got challenged to do that, and I couldn't find just 10. But I did find, that what these 10 had in common were bass players and certain kinds of bass rhythms. And, as Gary has, I don't know if Gary's ever heard me play guitar, but I suck. Really bad. I don't suck as bad on bass. But, when I was a kid, I was listening to my very first album that I bought was in 2nd grade, and this was about, 3 years ago, because, I'm a pretty young guy.
Right.
And it was Johnny Rivers in action. It was like the same. It was either that or the Monkees. I had to decide which one I was going to go with.
Ooh, I went with the Monkees, man.
Well, I could have, because they had the same thing that I didn't know when I was in 2nd grade, that this is what I loved. But it was this driving bass line. And the bass player was the same guy. And it wasn't Peter Tork, by the way. It was a guy named Joe Osborne. And Joe Osborne was a member of the Wrecking Crew, and he and what's the lady's name, Carol Kay, and Jerry Sheff, who also played with Elvis Presley, they would play on all these hits and all these songs I loved, like Scott McKenzie's "If You're Going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flower." The bass line rocks, and it turns out it's Joe Osborne. I started finding out that this one guy. And Hal Blaine, the drummer, would play on so many of my favorite hits, the Mamas and the Papas, Gary Lewis and the Playboys. I'm an old guy, 60s. These were all Joe Osborne. And it was this guy who discovered Karen Carpenter singing in some bar somewhere with her brother, and actually got them the recording contract and played bass on a lot of their stuff. So even though I don't like the Carpenters, I hear the bass line and I go, God, I don't want to like this song. But I do.
The Carpenters are amazing.
They are. Especially her voice. But the bass lines, when I started listening to the bass lines, I'm like, holy crap, this is great. And then I found out later, that it was the same guy that had played on all these other hits. And he died a couple years ago, but I ended up running into his on the internet and having a good long internet conversation, and it was pretty cool. I actually had an internet conversation with Carol Kay about 5 years ago too.
Oh wow!
It used to be the internet, you could talk to people. Now you talk to the people's people because they figured out they don't really want the riffraff. Yeah, but it's sometimes you look at like Gary's albums and yours too, JR, are widely they're all over the place. You had Metallica, you had. What was it? The More and Tubercular Choir or something like that.
Gary had Thelonious Monk.
Yeah, and I'd have to include Leontine Price on that because Mom was an opera singer and she sounds like my mom. But, the things that you discover about music are things you don't even know are there until you sit down and think about it. And it's kind of interesting to see what those 10 albums are, but I'd rather find out why. But that's not part of the challenge. So, okay, I tell you what, I challenge you, 10 albums. Don't tell me what the album is. Just tell me why you like it.
Ooh, just tell you why.
I don't want to know what the album is. We
Oh,
should put that on Facebook.
yeah,
I dare you. Go
I
ahead.
think that's a new Facebook challenge, Brian. I think you should start it. Tell us 10 albums.
No, I
Tell
think
us
that's a new
10.
podcast.
There we go. We could
I
do
think
that.
that's next week's podcast.
Hey, it can't be worse than those stupid avatars that all look alike. Have you noticed that? That the whole thing on Facebook, everybody's making those cartoon characters of themselves, but they all look alike.
Yeah.
They all have the same damn round heads. I mean, what's up with it?
Have you seen Avatar, the movie?
Oh yeah, Dances with Wolves in Outer Space.
They are all alike. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
idea.
Is that the okay. That's bringing out the part of us that's all the same.
Exactly. That it's supposed to unite us, not divide us.
Man.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't think of any more appropriate way to wrap up the second thing with a Bryan McKenzie bass solo from the song Rain Dance, also found on the album Small by the band BiG.
Let it rain.
Hey, can you tell I was a DJ in a former life?
That was pretty good.
No, I
Coming
was
at you.
impressed. I was impressed that Brian and I could shut the hell up for 30 seconds so that we could get a little bit of space.
Me too. All right, we just played a commercial also between the second thing and the third thing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we're coming back.
Who's our sponsor, Jay?
Our sponsor is Anchor, the company, the website that allows me to put this podcast out to the world for free. It's a free uploading podcast distribution platform, and it really couldn't be easier to set up and do and distribute a podcast, all thanks to Anchor. So this isn't even part of the paid advertisement, which I, by the way, have earned 29 cents from so far.
Sweet.
And that's with only 7 podcast episodes out.
29 cents
Yeah,
is like
that's more than we earned
30,000
from
listens
Small
on
last
Spotify.
week.
I just love it when you both talk at the same time.
Well, you asked us not to, so
Well, that's why we did it. But JR, 39 cents. Was it 39 cents or 29 cents?
29 cents.
Okay, well that's only 30,000 listens on Spotify. So it's pretty good. That's pretty good though.
All right, as if this episode wasn't silly or absurd enough. That's the theme of the third thing. This is where we just go nuts, say something silly, stupid, a joke, whatever's on your mind. I have no doubt you have something absurd on your mind, ready to go, and you might be chomping at the bit. And if you want to go first, you can, or I'll go first again if you rather that.
I think I'll go first on this one.
All
Just
right.
to
Gary,
because
you are on.
that makes it absurd. That me going first makes it absurd.
That's absurd in itself.
And I think this is absurd. This is I don't think we need to even take it out anymore because this is just absurd. It's the most fun that you could possibly have after driving around the state of Virginia for 14 hours. Is to sit here with my two best friends in completely different zip codes and almost time zones.
Yeah.
and just laugh and have fun. It's the most absurd thing that I've done today, definitely.
Man, that's a good one. I'm glad you went first.
That is absurd. I'm not sure I can beat that.
All right, I'll show you how, Brian. You ready?
Yeah, go
All right,
for it.
My third thing is this, and this is a real experience I had recently. My favorite convenience store is 7-Eleven. It started off as a convenience store that was actually open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's how they got the name. Since those early days, of course, they've obviously figured out that it's not very convenient to only be open a limited number of hours. So they changed to 24/7 many years ago. And now, with the COVID-19 pandemic, they've actually reduced their hours. They're not open 24/7. And that's right, the 7-Eleven that's nearest to me is not open 24/7. Instead, they are open.
Wait
Wait
okay.
for it.
Wait for it.
They are open from 6 to 10.
Of course.
There's a handwritten sign, a blank white piece of paper with a Sharpie that says our reduced hours are currently 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Literally on the door right next to the painted emblem for 7-Eleven. They're open from 6 to 10. And it gets sillier because I actually pointed this out when I was inside 7-Eleven. I said to the nice lady behind the counter through the plastic barrier in a lighthearted way, hey, what's up with that? You guys aren't open 7 to 11. You're open 6 to 10, you know? And I was hoping to get a laugh. And sure enough, she laughed hysterically. And then she told me, man, they hadn't even thought of that. Like the people in the store, it hadn't even occurred to them that they were open 6 to 10 and not 7 to 11. They never once considered that it's kind of funny that they did that. And I think that is probably why they work at 7-Eleven.
I mean, what better advertisement? Hey, we're open just like our name. You know.
Yeah.
Total missed opportunity.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, you know.
And for anybody that thinks I'm punching down on the 7-Eleven employees, please know I love 7-Eleven employees. In fact, they're some of the most important and wonderful people in my life have worked in 7-Eleven.
And they're essential.
They are essential.
Yeah, exactly. And if it weren't for 7-Eleven stores, I literally might not exist as a human because that is where my mother met my father. My father was the hunk that worked at 7-Eleven near my mom's old house, and my mom was the girl that had a crush on my dad. So that's at 7-Eleven, and the wonderful employees are the reason I exist. And so there you go. That's my silly or absurd thing. Gary's is that we're here recording a podcast after a long day of work, and it's the craziest and best way to spend an evening. Brian, have you been able to come up with something silly or absurd? Normally, everything that comes out of your mouth is silly or absurd, so I hope you don't get tongue-tied now. Brian, you're on.
I got to tell you, I was really struggling, but I think I'm stuck on this whole concept of a great country song about, you know, the cute girl going in because she's in love with a hunk down at the 7-Eleven. They're open 6 to 10. You know, that kind of thing. You know, it's just the hunk at the 7-Eleven and falling in love with him, and the 7-Eleven's open 6 to 10. If this ain't a country song, brothers, I don't know what is. You know?
Can you fit a pickup truck in it? We got to get a pickup truck
dog,
in there.
you know.
Yeah.
My dog peed on the leg of the hunk. I mean, you know, that's a great story, bro. I don't know what could be more absurd than our current society, personally, but you know, it's for me the most absurd thing has been that, you know, I cannot quarantine worth a damn. You know, I was moving from one place to another zip code on March 16th, and you know they cracked down and on that Monday said that's it, and I'm like, half my crap is in Charlottesville, and the other half of my crap is in 24401. You know, what do I do? So I had to stay at home from work. They wouldn't let me into the office because we had to work from home. But I had to drive my sorry arse into Charlottesville to load up my little truck 2 or 3 times a day to get stuff back. So I finally get everything over. And then it's a long story, but we have a little bit of an emergency, so I have to fly to Colorado in the middle of the pandemic, of course. And we load up Michelle, my girlfriend, and we drive her back over here to 24401.
To the 540.
Across, you know, and on the plane, you know, you get on the plane in the middle of a pandemic, and you have 3 kinds of seating. You have first mask, you have business mask, and you have economy mask. And you know, and so and you finally get off, and everybody's got, you know, they're like Thank you for flying. Have a nice day. And they're staying like 6 feet. You ever try to stay 6 feet away from somebody on an airplane? This is not easy. Someone's going to be in the John and going to get locked in, and they're going to end up in Phoenix. But anyway, so we managed to drive all the way across country in a 20-foot U-Haul with a car on a trailer through the middle of downtown St. Louis at 75 miles an hour, and all I can see in the mirror is the little sign on the trailer that says 55 mile an hour speed limit. I'm doing 75. We got semis on each side, and Michelle looks at me and she goes, "Why are you laughing so hard?" And I went, "It's okay. Because apparently I don't melt down. I just laugh hysterically when I think we're all going to die. But we made it. So then I get here. We unpack the truck. We turn it in. We still have, the pandemic is going on. If you breathe too deep, you die. This kind of thing. And my mom takes a turn for the worse. So now I drive to Michigan, where, by the way, the pandemic is kicking ass and taking down names.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, 3 months ago, I was bored to tears and couldn't go anywhere. And now, when I'm supposed to stay home, my sorry arse is all over That, to me, was about as absurd as you possibly can get. On the other hand, it's worked out pretty well. So, nice digs, man cave.
Yeah, man.
Ooh, man cave.
Yeah. Hot horse woman upstairs. What can you do?
So you're completely moved into the new place in Stanton now?
Well, I have half my stuff in the garage still, along with the 3 motorcycles. But yeah, we're here. I mowed the lawn today like a real normal white guy. And
Did you wear your white New Balance?
No, I had on my Nikes these are actually Nikes. Yeah, right, with the 3 stripes. They're Adidas brand Nikes. Adidas brand Nikes that I bought, of course, at Super Shoes. Because I'm a white guy and an old white guy. Get them on sale. I ain't gonna spend more than $30 for a pair of shoes, damn it. And I didn't. So it worked.
Wait,
Man, if you're gonna do the whole suburban thing, dude, you gotta get you some white New Balance, man.
I do. White New Balance, preferably with the Velcro laces, that kind of thing.
Velcro.
I'm already wearing my pants up to my boobs here. So.
Gentlemen, nice rack.
That's all I got, bro.
Gentlemen, this has been fantastic. This has been episode 9. 9 big things. You got 3 ridiculous band members. Number 9 times.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. Number 9.
9 times.
Number 9.
Number 9.
I have heard that 9 number 9. What is that? What is that from? I do not know what that's from.
Revolution number 9 by the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
Number 9.
I should know that.
White album, right?
White album, which is on my top 10 list. The White Album. I'm not going to tell you why. Okay, I'm just not gonna.
All right. So, what about my movie? Mine was a movie quote. Do you know what movie that's from? Where a person says 9 times. 9 times.
Behind the Green Door.
No.
Deep Throat.
No, I should know this. I'm clueless. Was it Clueless?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, well.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller. Anybody? People. Sometimes you have to say what the heck.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I think it's time to end the show with a drum solo.
I run from getting tired. I lie, but I am right. Desperately obscure. Just follow word, repelled by door and I close my mind. 'Cause today's been too